Welcome to Portsmouth and to the 24th running of the Bupa Great South Run around a historic course over 10 miles. The conditions today officially described as challenging, and the strong wind will play a major part in the outcome. Joining me in the commentary box is Tim Hutchins. Susan Partridge, great Scottish run champion this year, the marathon specialist already representing Scotland in the Commonwealth Games, that's for sure, just of course this next year.
From Portugal, Jessica Augusto.
Jessica Augusto has been around a long time. 7th place in the Olympic Marathon in London last year, former European cross-country champion, of course.
Former European junior cross-country
Charlotte
champion,
Purdue,
representing
it's her first race of the season, believe it or not. She's been injured, lots and lots of injuries, and stress fractures of the knee and the small of the back. And then, of course, we've got the young woman you've heard comment of a little earlier from David Moncroft, Florence Kiplagat. I was in Berlin to watch her win the Berlin Marathon, and she won it very, very comfortably indeed. And she's also a former world half.
Stand by, we are nearly ready to race.
So the elite almost ready to get underway. Tim, the conditions very, very difficult here indeed, aren't they?
They are, Stuart, and normally this first mile is not too bad, despite the fact the wind's hitting them from the left, and you do get some very quick times in the early stages here. It is that latter 2 miles, that last 2 miles, that will really test them. But it'll be fascinating to see how fast they go out. Last year, Joe ran 53 minutes exactly to win this race, Joe Pave, with the starter there, and that means 5:18 per mile. So we're looking at the clock, bottom left of screen, and we'll be watching those mile splits as they click through, the 10 of them here in Portsmouth.
It's a good field, actually. It's a very competitive field. If you take Florence Kiplagat out of that formula, and there are 1 or 2 others in the race as well. We've mentioned the principals. We've got Rennie Kalmer, we've got Pauline Wenjiku. And on the right, Susan Partridge, the marathon runner, will find her strength very helpful here on this day. She certainly will.
Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see how quickly Susan Partridge on the right of picture there actually runs, Stuart, the tallest in the field.
Well, into Clarence Esplanade, High Street, Portsmouth, a mile there, and then past the Spinnaker, through the Heritage area at 2 miles, Queen Street at 3, Winston Churchill, then Lord Montgomery Way, Venetian Garden at 6, then the Eastern Parade at 7, turning back at 8, Eastern Esplanade and the Southern Esplanade, South Parade Pier to the finish in that last very, very difficult 2 miles. Look at this, Kiplagat already beginning to open up a gap alongside her countrywoman. And Tim, this looks pretty ominous, doesn't it, as she starts to put the pedal down?
Well, it does, yeah. I'm very early push for the front here from Kiplagat. That Berlin Marathon was 4 weeks ago today. She won it in 2:21, looking pretty comfortable. She's actually, though, a very, very high caliber runner, Stuart. She's one of the very few women in the world who's broken a 2 hours 20 for the marathon. There's only 18 women in history have broken that barrier. It's a very significant run. She didn't run in Moscow, by the way, at the World Championships back in the summer, so she came into the autumn strong and fresh, and she said that she's recovered very well from Berlin. Normally athletes take a couple of weeks off after a marathon, but she said she's recovered really well, and clearly she's up for an aggressive run here today. I'm surprised it's broken up so quickly.
Yes, so am I. It's absolutely. Look at the gap between the leading 6, 7, 8 athletes now, and the 2 Kenyans leading this. We'll meet some of the elite here today, but with conditions like this, then one doesn't really know who's going to prevail here. And look, personal stopwatches there being clicked again, despite the fact that they have the little transponders, I understand. And there is Victor Lopez. He's a Swiss hero, actually, marathon champion of Europe in 2010. He's a world championship bronze medalist back in 2007. Well, Lamdesam was 2nd last year. He's in very good form indeed. 3rd in the Great Scottish Run, 61:59. That was a half marathon, of course. And here is a man who, on his debut half marathon, did very well. This is Thomas Ayeko. He won the race, 62:32 first time. It looks pretty chilly, doesn't it? They can't wait to get going. And then, of course, you've got Chris Thompson, who's running the Great Birmingham Run. 2nd place was his best for a little while. It's a little bit breezy out there, my goodness me. It's getting worse and worse. If the rain starts as well, then the conditions will be really poor. Here's last year's winner, the defending champion, Stephen Makoko of South Africa. Represented South Africa in the Olympic Marathon in 2012. So there's lots of experience up in that men's field.
Start line, but also for the orange wave, stand by.
So the men underway. Look at all those little stopwatches. They do get kilometre times, official kilometre times, but look at the waves coming up and just breaking off from that statistical comment to see the waves beating up against the wall there.
You know, distance running is for tough, determined people. They're going to need to show those qualities in abundance this morning. All these 25,000 runners in Portsmouth, because it's not a pleasant morning for running. But let's just remember this, that if they were back at home and they weren't racing today, they'd all be going out for their Sunday morning run today just the same. And you know, it's almost a sort of religious ritual that most distance runners take in every week. It's a Sunday morning long run, and I'm sure 99% of these people would be doing this even if they were back at home.
Just dropping down, looking at that shot as the 25,000 or the lead group or wave get underway. They're all set off in waves according to their ability.
Whichever way you approach it, when you look and you see how excited...
Andy Vernon has pushed to the front there. For Vernon, the 27-year-old Great Britain international, won the World University Games, 5,000 metres a couple of years ago. Has very good speed, does the Briton, and he's obviously gone off aggressively here. There's Emmanuel Bett to the left of picture. He has never run for Kenya in a major championships, Emmanuel Bett. He's the age of 30, there he is in blue. And that's astonishing too. When you look at his car, he's a world-class runner across a range of distances. But I'm glad to see Andy Vernon's gone out so aggressively.
And look at this. This is Florence Kiplagat. Florence Kiplagat, two-time world champion. She won the World Cross Country Championship in 2009, and of course the World Half Marathon Championship. And really her marathon debut came in 2011, incidentally. And that means that she's relatively inexperienced, but my goodness me, she's made her mark since then. But look at the gap that's opened up there between her and Wanjiku, the young woman who was attempting to stay with her, and Rene Kalma behind her. So they're the top three. And then we're looking at Emma Pallant also in that leading group there as well, but they're well spread out, aren't they? I mean, it's an unbelievable break early on in the second mile, really.
I think Emma Pallant back in her fifth place, running really well so far, but she has blasted through this second mile, has Florence Kiplagat. She's actually more of a half marathon specialist, Stuart. She's run 8 half marathons, she's won 6 of them, and she's very, very high caliber. She's a 66-minute half marathon runner, making her the 8th fastest in history. Now she's approaching the 2-mile marker there. She went through the first mile in 5:28. She goes through 2 miles there in 10:32. So a really significant acceleration. That second mile's gone in 5:04. So 5:28 clearly was wind affected. It must have been in their faces quite a lot. And then a 5:04. Wow, that is some acceleration.
Andy Vernon, very fine athlete on the country. Hasn't really transferred that to the track, we have to say that. But he's always there. And Chris Thompson is up there as well.
Yep, Ryan McLeod there, the tall figure in yellow. His father, Mickey McLeod, of course, a great athlete back in the 80s. And 1 mile there in about 4:50, there or thereabouts, Stuart. And that's motoring along nicely. That's, well, it represents about 47-45 tempo. So it's a fairly steady first mile.
Well, these scenes will continue for some considerable time. You can see the groups in the background still standing, but they're the waves. I've mentioned them before. And look at this for the race now. They're really spreading out now. And Bet is leading, certainly. Ayeko is in second place. And then you've got the defending champion. Behind him is Abdirahman, the American, who we saw in the Birmingham race, 3 times an Olympic Games representative. He's in 4th place, the Somalian-American long-distance runner. But Bet here really is in some form at the moment, but it's very early days indeed. And Ayeko proved to me last week in Birmingham he is a real threat in this. It's quite clear because he put in a 4:19 to kill off the opposition in that race in Birmingham, and that's the sort of thing he's capable of on a good day. Well, there they are.
Yes.
There they have on the screen. They're the leaders.
Ayeko, of course, operating under the radar a little bit, really, Stuart, the Ugandan. He's only 21, making his debut here over 10 miles. He is a very, very high caliber runner, as you said, after that brilliant debut in over a half marathon last week. Chris Thompson has been dropped as well as they approach the 2-mile marker. 4:50 for that first mile. Let's take a look at this second mile split. It'll be much, much quicker, I'm sure, with Emmanuel Bett having dragged this little trio away.
Well, from the British point of view, I'm just wondering where Chris Thompson has got. I think he was just coming round the corner there in 5th place. He's in 5th place, 3rd, 4th, 5th or 6th. Well, that's Abdirahman there. There he is, Chris Thompson there. Yeah.
And the leaders go through 2 miles there, Stuart, in 9:25.
Yeah.
So they've run 4:25 for that last mile. I mean, they've actually 4:35 rather. Much, much quicker.